Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Mark Lynn. Namaskar. Coming up in the next hour. India climbs to the 39th position on the World Economic Forum's Travel and Tourism Development Index for 2024. The RBI says that the country is on the cusp of a long-awaited economic takeoff. India's External Affairs Minister speaks exclusively to DD India, says New Delhi is an Indo-Pacific power, helping in responding or resolving maritime piracy challenges in the Red Sea. Norway, Ireland, Spain recognize the state of Palestine. Israel recalls its ambassadors. US says Palestinian state should be realized through negotiations, not unilateral recognition. US President Joe Biden cancels another $7.7 billion in student debt for 160,000 borrowers, bringing the total debt relief benefiters to 4.75 million. Let's begin with the latest on the world's largest democratic election in India. Campaigning is underway in full swing for the last two phases of India's parliamentary election. Political parties are making a final push to get their message across to the voters. India polls in the next two phases on May 25 and June 1. Currently, the campaign is concentrating more on the sixth phase, which includes 7 seats in India's capital, Delhi, as well. Here's a roundup of the day's activities.
Campaigning for the sixth phase of India's parliamentary elections is in full swing. Political parties ramping up their efforts across the country. On Wednesday, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, in a bid to woo the voters, held campaigning in Uttar Pradesh and Delhi. He held a public meeting in Shravasti, Uttar Pradesh. PM Modi held a public meeting in Basti. Addressing the gathering, Prime Minister Modi emphasized his unwavering vision for a developed Uttar Pradesh. He urged citizens to actively participate in the democratic process for the betterment of the nation.
इन 5 चरणों ने ही देश में तीसरी बार मोदी सरकार पक्की कर दी है और इसके लिए आपको इधर-उधर देखने की जरूरत नहीं है। आप इंडिया अलायंस वालों के बयान देख लीजिए, हर कोई अलग-अलग आंकड़ा बताता है।
Senior BJP leaders Amit Shah and Rajnath Singh also held rallies. Rajnath Singh held a public meeting in Haryana's Karnal. Amit Shah was in West Bengal, started his campaign in Kanti in support for party's candidate. Amit Shah also participated in a road show in West Bengal's Bankura constituency.
2 माले तक लोग चढ़े हुए हैं, किलोमीटरों तक जन सैलाब है। ये मोदी जी की लोकप्रियता का एक प्रमाण है। देखिए, 5वें चरण तक हम 310 पार कर चुके हैं, 400 पार जाएंगे और बंगाल में हम 30 सीटें से ज्यादा सीटें। देखिए, एजेंडा ममता जी ने बनाया है। आप देश की सीमाओं को घुसपैठ के लिए खोला छोड़ोगे और यहाँ का पूरा डेमोग्राफी चेंज करोगे तो लोगों में गुस्सा है, वो वाजिब है।
To garner support in party's favor, opposition parties are also holding election campaigns across the states to woo the voters. Congress leader Rahul Gandhi held a public meeting in Mahendragarh district of Haryana. Rahul Gandhi also addressed a public rally in Sonipat district of the state. His sister and Congress leader Priyanka Gandhi addressed a public rally in Jharkhand's Godda. Later, she also campaigned in Ranchi.
हमारी सरकार ने स्पोर्ट्स इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर बनाया, सड़क बनाई, ये सब काम किया और आपने देश को रास्ता दिखाया था।
आप कांग्रेस पार्टी को जिताएंगे तो आपको एक ऐसी सरकार मिलेगी जिससे आप पर आपको गर्व होगा।
Delhi's BJP candidate from Northeast Delhi Lok Sabha seat Manoj Tiwari held election rally in Mustafabad. In North 24 Parganas, West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee also addressed a public meeting. With the election entering its final stages, the fervour of campaigning has intensified, with leaders from various political parties making a last-minute push to sway voters in their favour. Bureau Report, DD India.
The times, they are changing. The song by Bob Dylan is often considered a reflection of the generation gap in the Americas of the 1960s. But in a way, it also aptly explains a political phenomenon which is unraveling in the capital city of Odisha. Bhubaneswar is gearing up for an interesting Lok Sabha battle, where the BJP, the BJD and the Congress are challenging each other. The BJD candidate, in fact, is the son of a veteran Congress leader. While the son is campaigning in the city, the father, a Congress MLA, has been expelled from the party. Here's a report.
Manmath Rautre is a young leader fighting the Bhubaneswar Lok Sabha seat in the Indian state of Odisha as a Biju Janata Dal candidate. BJD is the ruling party in the state. As he sits in the makeshift office room in his residence, the remnants of a bygone era are hard to miss. Just atop the chair where he is meeting the workers and fine-tuning plans for yet another day of campaigning hangs a portrait of former Prime Minister of India, Indira Gandhi. Wait, but Manmath is a BJD candidate. The mystery is solved once we meet his father, Suresh Rautre. Sura Rautre, as he is called in political circles, is a veteran Congress leader and sitting member of Legislative Assembly in Odisha. However, his more than 5-decade-long association with Congress snapped recently after he was expelled by the party for campaigning in favor of his son.
हम लोग कुछ 6 साल के लिए निकाल दिया कांग्रेस से, इसीलिए हम बिल्कुल संघ का जो सिंबल है उसको जिताने के लिए उद्यम करता है.
Perhaps he knew what was coming and decided not to enter electoral fray this time. But Congress's loss is BJD's gain. As he sits outside his bungalow in Bhubaneswar, his loads of experience seems to be directing the energy flow towards ensuring his son's success. On his part, Manmath says it was not easy to convince his father, and the matter took many months of hard bargains.
I'm feeling very comfortable to work with BJD. Look forward to see Odisha people somewhere down the line, somewhere better perception, even in national level, national platform. I need that respect for the Odisha and Odisha people.
Suresh knows that his career in Congress is all but over, having been a bitter critic of Odisha CM Naveen Patnaik. For long, the son's political plunge, however, has made him heap praise on the CM and his policies. This house has seen Congress's banner fluttering atop for many generations. Now, with the younger generation handling the political reins, the flags and colours of the political ideology are witnessing a change for sure. Bhubaneswar seat is held by Aparajita Sarangi of the BJP.
When political legacy and blood ties meet, they often create interesting and strange circumstances in Indian democracy. Sometimes we see relatives fight each other in a no-holds-barred political slugfest, and sometimes blood ties flow thicker than the ideological vows. As India charts its future course in democracy and Generation Next stamps itself, we will continue to see these interesting changes in the Indian democratic setup. With camera person Sanjay Jaina, Ravidhiman, DD India in Bhubaneswar.
Voting percentage in this general election has witnessed a little dip. Voters living in urban areas or villages, they have polling stations nearby to their residences. But imagine what if you have to trek for hours on treacherous mountainous terrain, or you have to cross rivers. Despite all the odds, people of Nandurbar district are dominated by tribals. They have exercised their franchise in large numbers.
Akkalkuwa Taluka in Nandurbar district of Maharashtra lies in a Satpura range of hills with the Narmada river forming northern boundary. The Narmada River flows along the Satpura mountain range in the tribal-dominated Nandurbar district of Maharashtra. In very remote areas of Satpura mountains, a large number of tribal settlements are scattered in villages on the banks of this river. Providing civic amenities in this area is a very challenging task. In spite of this, the performance of the Election Commission of India, which has been successful in providing the right to vote to the citizen of this region, is absolutely remarkable. As per the instructions of Election Commission, the district administration has been making special efforts to providing voting system to the citizen in every election. As a result, voters from remote villages like Nandurbar district, which is dominated by tribal, exercise their right to vote. Manibeli, Chimalkhedi, Bamni, Dunel and Mukhdi polling stations in Akkalkuwa Taluka in Nandurbar district are located in remote areas along the Narmada River. It is not easy to reach these settlements. Although efforts have been made to provide roads to some areas, most of these tribal settlements have to travel through mountains. Even if you try to reach these settlements by boat from the river, you have to walk a few kilometers up the Rocky Mountains. Even though the geographical condition of this area is very tough, as per the instructions of the Election Commission, the Nandurbar district administration has done a remarkable job of delivering voting system to the polling station in this area and conducted the voting process smoothly. People come here from very far-flung areas. Here, we have one tribal settlement. They walk almost 3 to 4 kilometers and cast their vote. The tribal settlement are scattered in few hundreds kilometers, so the people come here to vote from different settlements and villages.
The presence of young women and girls was remarkable. Women are highly respected in tribal society. Every center, there was a picture of women being given priority in voting. From the youth to the elderly, they exercise the right to vote in an open environment. The day-to-day life of these citizens living in the remote areas of the tribal-dominated Nandurbar district is very challenging, but these people have shown great trust in Indian democracy. Shishir Shela's report, D-Day India. Real life has taken center stage in real life in Midnapur, which is a historical town in the Indian state of West Bengal. And in the parliamentary elections that are ongoing, the main contest here is between two stars of the silver screen. DD India correspondent Vishal Barrister reports.
Registered as a heritage property, this office of the District Magistrate of Midnapur has been witness to the great battle that Bengal fought against the colonial rule. Times have changed and so have the rules. And now it is the battle of the ballot. Loud music, party flags flying high and people dancing. The atmosphere is simply electrifying. This is a show of strength on the streets of Midnapur by the Bharatiya Janata Party. The candidate Agnimitra Paul is a fashion designer in the Indian film industry who is given a tough fight by the Bengali film star June Malia of the Trinamool Congress.
People of Midnapur loves me, and it's not a difficult thing, though I don't take my opponent very lightly. But any war, any fight, you should take it seriously. So that's why I have taken my fight for the people of Midnapur very seriously. But I'm sure that on 4th of June, I'll be the person who will be going to the parliament.
Having won 18 seats along with Midnapur in 2019 elections, the BJP is looking to improve its tally. And now, from the noise of the city, the scene changes to a quiet countryside campaign of the Trinamool Congress. The lawmaker in the State Assembly from Midnapur, June, is banking on her real and real-life image in the public.
I'm an elected representative. So basically, there's a vast difference, but my women over here, they want to see me as an actor and as their worker.
As TMC candidate moves forward in an attempt to harvest the crop after 5 years, Midnapur has many unanswered questions. Its backward and poverty-stricken image asks for improvement, as the senior journalist points out.
Empowerment women is the first factor, because women are very determining factor in our families in Midnapur. Then we want that eradication of poverty. People are very poor, and something should be done. Many projects should be taken. Many have been taken by different governments, and many more should be taken.
Midnapur goes to poll on the 25th of this month, and the state of West Bengal has 42 seats in the offing. With cameraman Piyush in Midnapur, Vishal Baristo's report for DD India.
What's still to come here on DD India News Hour? We'll be talking to DD India correspondents who are tracking the poll pulse of India. Norway, Ireland and Spain announce that they have recognized a Palestinian state. India's Vice President Jagdeep Dhankar pays condolences on the demise of the Iranian President Ibrahim Raisi.
Versus facts. In-depth news and analysis with experts who will help you decide why this election matters. DD India is the main election headquarters with numbers most accurate, data most reliable, and viewership across the platforms. Stay tuned to the Great Indian Election only on weekdays at 8:30 p.m. IST and 1500 hours GMT.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Mark Lynn, and now let's get a look at the electoral battlefield of Azamgarh in Uttar Pradesh. DD India correspondent Deepika Mehta sends us this report.
On the coming 25th of May, the voters of Azamgarh have to really make a very tough decision. There are interesting candidates on this seat. From BJP, you have Dinesh Lal Yadav, who's also known as Nirua, the famous celebrity. While on the other hand, you have Dharmendra Yadav from Samajwadi Party, who's also a very close aide of Akhilesh Yadav. Now, the question here is the question of prestige over this particular seat of Azamgarh. While there are political banters which are continuously ongoing between both the parties, the BJP as well as the SP, it remains to be seen that who win the hearts of the voters coming the 25th of May.
The political fight is getting hotter in Azamgarh. Back-to-back rallies, late-night campaigning with a touch of music to elaborate the festivity of democracy is a common scene here. The UP belt voters are a huge fan of Niraua, aka Dinesh Lal Yadav, who's candidate from BJP here. He may have lost 2019 Lok Sabha elections, but he is more confident this time.
आजमगढ़ में अब भगोड़े नेता लोगों के लिए जगह नहीं है और वो दोनों भाई भगोड़े हैं। 19 में जीते तो अखिलेश यादव जी भाग गए, 22 में हारे तो धर्मेंद्र भाग गए और ये लोग कभी आजमगढ़ दिखाई दिए नहीं। तो आजमगढ़ की जनता को ऐसे भगोड़ों पे भरोसा नहीं है। आजमगढ़ में जब कोई आदमी हारने के बाद भी रह रहा था और जीतने के बाद भी रहा, तो ही इनको भरोसा हुआ कि ये अब हमको आदमी मिला है जो यहाँ रह के काम कर रहा है। तो इसलिए आजमगढ़ की जनता खुद ही कह रही है कि हम लोग आपको इस बार और बड़े अंतर से जिताएंगे।
While BJP's Niraua believes that SP candidate Dharmendra is a fugitive, on the other hand, Dharmendra Yadav, a seasoned MP from Azamgarh, says that BJP's candidate Dinesh is an accidental MP.
उनको देख लिया लोगों ने, एक्सीडेंटल एमपी हैं, देख लिया लोगों ने, नाप लिया आजमगढ़ के लोगों ने, अब मौका नहीं मिलेगा दोबारा।
Well, the political banters continue as the campaigning picks up pace, but what is even more interesting is to see how the political rallies are entertaining everyone. A class 5 student is leaving no stone unturned to use this platform as his singing podium, appealing all the voters.
Political banters continue, but the festival of democracy is also continuing unabatedly. You can see behind me the large number of people, the voters of respective parties have come here to celebrate. Whatever the soaring temperature is, the excitement is at its maximum level, is at its peak. So what happens on the 25th of May? That the voters will decide. But right now, the festival of democracy across India and especially in Azamgarh is at its peak. With camera person Sanjeev, this is Deepika reporting from Azamgarh for DD India.
Well, we are joined by Amritpal Singh, who is joining us from Ambala in Haryana. Well, Amrit, what is the political contest like across the whole of Haryana? The last time round, I think it was a clean sweep for the BJP.
That's right, Mark. There are 10 seats in Haryana, 10 parliamentary constituencies in Haryana, and the BJP in 2019 had won all 10 constituencies. This time, the battle for the BJP is to retain its grip on the state, while the Congress is fighting for its revival. These are at most seats, the direct contest is between these two political parties. But there are other players as well, like the BSP has fielded candidates, the INLD, the Indian National Lokdal, the party of former Deputy Prime Minister Chaudhry Devilal, and which was a big force at one point of time, but now is quite diminished. They just got about 2% vote the last time around. They are in the fray. Breakaway of the INLD called the Janhit Janta Party, floated by another grandson of Chaudhry Devilal, is in the fray. But they are so-called smaller players. The main contest on most seats is between the BJP and the Congress. In the rural belt, there is some sort of perception in at least the farming community that the BJP is not pro-farmer. So that is what the BJP has to battle with, and the Congress is trying to capitalize on that. But the BJP is going to the voters saying that with a double-engine government, because they are in power in the state too, will help the cause of development as it has done over the past 10 years. So that is their pitch. So one will have to see how the voters vote on Saturday. Mark.
Okay, we leave it there. Thanks very much, Amritpal Singh, for joining us from near Ambala in Haryana. Now, officials from different countries across the world offer their condolences in Tehran on Wednesday for the death of the President Ibrahim Raisi and his companions, who died in that helicopter crash near the Azerbaijan border on the weekend. India has expressed condolences and showed solidarity as well with Iran. India's Vice President Jagdeep Dhankar, who is in Tehran, offered condolences on the death of the President Raisi and his companions on Wednesday. And Stuart Smith is now joining us live from Baghdad in Iraq with more. Stuart, what's expected from the funeral on Thursday? Are there lots of world leaders in attendance?
So Thursday will be the day when Ibrahim Raisi's body is taken to his hometown, which is also a holy city of Mashhad. The world leaders and the gatherings and outpourings of support from other official dignitaries took place today in Tehran. Those just finishing up now, those funeral proceedings in the capital of Iran, with a whole host of leaders in attendance. At the level of president was the Emir of Qatar, the president of Tajikistan, the vice president of India, of course, but also the prime minister of Azerbaijan and of Pakistan. Foreign ministers were sent from other countries: Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, the UAE, Oman, Egypt, Sri Lanka, Turkmenistan and Afghanistan, and Russia sent its Speaker of the lower house of Parliament, the State Duma, all to pay their respects to this sudden death of a president that many of these people in their commemorations and memorandums expressed great support for, saying that their countries had influential and important relations with Iran that they want to continue.
Stuart, also since the helicopter crash, the aviation sector must be in focus. Is there a safety audit on Iranian planes?
Yeah, the aviation sector in Iran is of particular interest to global watchers of aviation safety as well, because it's a country that has struggled under 40 to 50 years of sanctions from the United States, meaning getting genuine parts from suppliers of aircraft such as Boeing and Airbus has proved impossible for most of Iran. There were even talks, secret talks between Iran and Russia just to try and provide 2 helicopters for the president so that travel would be made safer. As to the implications of the Iranian air fleet in general, I think that would depend largely on the outcome of the investigation. Initial reports suggested it was weather to blame, and the description of the incident by one of those that survived in the other helicopters that were part of this 3 helicopter convoy suggests indeed it was the weather to blame, with the sudden appearance of dense cloud leading to the head helicopter, the one where the president was flying in, to have to warn the other 2 helicopters behind that their danger was approaching, seemingly though not soon enough for that lead helicopter with the president, foreign minister and other dignitaries inside.
Stuart, also, what's the view on the future of Iran's nuclear program?
Well, we heard from the head of the International Atomic Energy Agency, the UN nuclear watchdog, earlier today, Rafael Grossi, who said that due to the period of mourning and the death of the Iranian president, talks have been postponed, but he's eager, he says, to get them started again to address exactly this question. There's a lot of skepticism around the world, but especially from Western nations, about Iran's intentions when it comes to nuclear weapons. While it's enriching uranium, it says, for its peaceful nuclear energy program, it's enriching that uranium to 60%, something that no other country has done unless with the intention of developing nuclear weapons. So that's at the heart of debates between the United Nations and Iran. And while those debates are likely to continue with the next president, the technical discussions that had been planned for this week are being postponed while this memorial period takes place.
Stuart Smith in Baghdad, thanks very much. Ireland's Prime Minister Simon Harris on Wednesday announced that his country will recognize the state of Palestine. Norway and Spain have also joined hands in recognizing a Palestinian state. Speaking to the media, the Irish Prime Minister said that a 2-state solution is the only credible path to peace and security for Israel and Palestine. He said that Ireland fully recognizes Israel and its right to exist in peace with its neighbors. The formal recognition will be made on May 28. But the Hungarian foreign minister in Amman denied any such plans to recognize a Palestinian state, and Israel has opposed the move of granting statehood to Palestine and ordered its envoys from Norway and Ireland to immediately return to Israel.
Today, Ireland, Norway and Spain are announcing that we recognise the state of Palestine. Each of us will now undertake whatever national steps are necessary to give effect to that decision. In the lead up to today's announcement, I've spoken with a number of other leaders and counterparts, and I'm confident that further countries will join us in taking this important step in the coming weeks. This is an historic and important day for Ireland and for Palestine.
The US President Joe Biden believes that a Palestinian state should be achieved through negotiations and not unilateral recognition. A spokesperson for the White House National Security Council said, and I quote, "The president is a strong supporter of a 2-state solution and has been throughout his career. He believes a Palestinian state should be realized through direct negotiations between the parties, not through unilateral recognition." Let's take a look at other stories making the news around the world. 20 passengers on board the Singapore Airlines flight are currently under treatment in intensive care facilities. Bangkok's Summitvej Hospital informed that in total 58 people were still under treatment at medical facilities. Multiple facilities and 27 had been discharged. The London-Singapore flight was diverted to Bangkok after the plane was hit by turbulence. South Korea's Seoul is hosting a one-day Artificial Intelligence Global Forum on Wednesday, inaugurated by the South Korean Prime Minister Han Duck-soo. The forum is being held alongside the second AI Global Summit. AI safety, innovation, and inclusivity are the key priorities of this summit, with AI frontrunner companies pledging to develop safe technologies. Still to come here on DD India News Hour, we'll be discussing the buoyancy in the Indian economy and the rise in India's ranking in the World Economic Forum's Tourism Index.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Mark Lynn. Now, India's rank in the World Economic Forum's Travel and Tourism Development Index 2024 has risen to the 39th place, with global tourism activities returning to pre-pandemic levels. India is seen as one of the most price-competitive markets, scoring high on all resource pillars. The Indian economy also has got inflation under check, and industry is confident of India's growth prospects. This report puts things into perspective.
Experts within the RBI anticipate a decline in consumer price-based inflation to 3.8% in the July-September quarter and expects inflation for financial year 2025 to be around 4.5%. In April, headline inflation decreased to 4.8% from 4.9% in March. Statistical base effects may contribute to lowering headline inflation in July and August, with a potential reversal in September. The RBI experts highlight the fragile outlook for the global economy, with risk to financial stability increasing due to stalled inflation, decent and volatile capital flows. Indian industry is happy about India's growth trajectory.
Let's say in 2047, we'll be the third largest economy, maybe a $40 billion economy. Even now, in the next, I think by 2029, we'll be the third largest economy. So only the US and China will be ahead of us. So that's a big progress the country is making.
But amid the global uncertainty, there's optimism about India's economic performance. Recent indicators suggest a strengthening of aggregate demand, particularly with a notable uptick in rural spending. Rural demand for fast-moving consumer goods has surpassed urban demand for the first time in at least 2 years, driven by robust demand for home and personal care products. Private investment activity is being supported by mergers and acquisitions, particularly in sectors like energy, driven by transactions in renewables. Large-scale consolidation and restructuring are boosting M&A activity. India's banking sector has outperformed many other sectors.
The Indian banking sector is fit and ready to see India at the next level, the growth that we are having, and I think we are well equipped to support that growth.
India has climbed to the 39th position on the World Economic Forum's Travel and Tourism Development Index for 2024, reflecting a resurgence in global tourism activity to pre-pandemic levels, as revealed in the annual report released on Tuesday. The United States leads the list, with India securing the top rank in South Asia and among emerging economies. India had been placed 54th in the previous index published in 2021, but changes in index parameters limit direct comparisons with earlier years. Industry sees tourism as a large employment generator.
Like the PLI had been introduced, especially this will support certain sectors which are high employment generation: tourism, healthcare, hospitality, and logistics.
The index underscores India's high price competitiveness and its competitive air transport and ground and port infrastructure. India's robust natural, cultural and non-leisure resources significantly contribute to its travel appeal, being among the top 10 in all resource pillars. India is close to pre-pandemic levels. The WEF anticipates international tourist arrivals and the travel and tourism sector's contribution to global GDP to rebound to pre-pandemic levels this year. The biennial index evaluates the travel and tourism sectors of 119 countries across various factors and policies. Bureau Report, DD India.
And let's introduce our expert now to discuss India's growing travel and tourism sector. Pratik Hira is the chair of the FICCI Tourism Committee and well involved with this industry. Mr. Hira, you know, India is price competitive, as that report suggests, across several sectors. And we have some of the best heritage sites in the world, 42 UNESCO World Heritage Sites. We have rich cultural diversity. So, I mean, do you see this sector driving growth on the Indian economy when it becomes, you know, the third largest economy in the world?
By all means, I think the vision of the government of seeing the country as one of the leading economies, at least among the top 3 economies for now, I think tourism cannot just be ignored, because it is not only giving it has the highest multiplier effect. It is also a great job generator. I mean, world over, if you see, we are seeing that 15.5, it will be a 15.5 trillion US dollar industry in the next 10 years. And world over, there are about 12%. It is going to provide employment to about 12%. At the moment, if you see that among all the in all the skill sets, which is the highly skilled to the unskilled workers, all the skill sets, it is still contributing to around about 9 to 10% in terms of employment generation. So tourism by no government can ever be ignored when a government is seeing economy rising.
What do you think needs to be done to try and encourage more employment in the sector? Because you did say that, I mean, it is a large employment generator, and it is actually a people's-driven sector, because you require more and more people in this to give out these services so that more people can come to our country and understand it and enjoy it.
So, Mark, if you see the report that has come out of the World Economic Forum, it is not only based on tourist arrivals. So I wouldn't say that it is a very encouraging number that we have of the foreign tourist arrival. We are still in an area which is very low in terms of tourism arrival, about 10 million tourists, not even that. We haven't touched the 2019 figures of the foreign tourist arrival, basically. But this report has to be seen in a more, it's a broader report. So the report also analyzes the infrastructure development, which everybody would realize has been huge in terms of air connectivity, in terms of airports, in terms of railways. It has been tremendous, the network of roads that India now has. If we see the last figures of this report, where India was ranked about 54, if I'm right, and it was 2021. So from 54, we have come to this position. 39, yes. And it is not only based on the tourist arrivals, but it is also based on the employability of the people. It is also based on the qualifications of the workforce in tourism. It is based on the quality of tourists that a country is getting. It is also, you would be surprised, it is also taking note of sustainability aspects. So in terms of all these aspects, if you see, there is a growth, there has been a tremendous growth from 2021 till today, 2024, when we are standing at the 39th position. But of course, I would agree, everybody would agree rather from the industry, that there's a long way ahead, and there's a long way to go still.
What do you think should be harnessed? Religious tourism, after all, India is home to Hinduism, Sikhism, Jainism. Buddhism has spread from India to the rest of the world. To what extent can religious history, help economic development as well of the regions that are involved with what I've spoken?
Yeah, I think, Mark, when you talk about religious, I would rather refer it to as spiritual rather than just talking about religious tourism, because it unbrackets the market. So it is not only of a particular faith, a person traveling of a particular faith who would like to do, but religious or spiritual tourism, whatever you may call it, has been a great influencer or a great attraction world over. If you see the figures of Mecca, which is getting about 30 to 40 million tourists, or if you see Vatican, which is in the area of about 7 to 9 million tourists, and comparing that figure with India, you can imagine that just let us take an example of a small event. I'm calling it a small, it is not at all small, but an event which takes place for 1 month, which is called the Kumbh or the Mahakumbh. So in Kumbh, in 2019, we had a figure of 250 million visitors. And we are expecting in 2025, we are having a Mahakumbh starting January, which will continue for about just a period of 1 month. And we are expecting 400 million travelers or 400 million visitors in just one city in just a span of 1 month. So it is a great game changer. And Kumbh, mind you, it has been a source of revenue. It has been a source of employment, not only in the modern times, but in the times of Mughals, in the times of British later on, and the governments today. So it is seen that way. So one needs to see tourism as an economic activity, one, and also tourism needs to be seen very importantly as a soft power of our nation, which will change the perceptions, which will change the mindset of the political bosses, of the bureaucrats when they are making policies for tourism.
Okay, we leave it there. Thank you very much, Mr. Pratik Hira. Thank you for helping us understand how important tourism can be and is already in our country. So, in an interview to DD India's Jessica Taneja, the External Affairs Minister, Dr. S. Jaishankar, reaffirmed that India is an Indo-Pacific power and will continue to thwart piracy attempts in the Red Sea. Let's listen.
External Affairs Minister of India, Dr. S. Jaishankar, thank you for taking out time for us. We heard about the things you said, particularly on China as well. In the recent past, we've sent 3 ships which made a port call to the Philippines, to Malaysia and to Vietnam. We're slowly also expanding our influence in the Indo-Pacific as well. We've seen as a net security provider. I'll make it quick. What more can we expect?
India is an Indo-Pacific power. We have responsibilities in the Indo-Pacific. These responsibilities can be in the entire expanse. You're also seeing ships in the Red Sea, which are dealing with maritime piracy challenges. We have been first responder in many situations. So I think you take it, we think of ourselves today as Vishwa Bandhu. So as Vishwa Bandhu, we are doing global good, we have global responsibilities, and that is really...
Last question, very quick. While the Western media and of course collectively the West is calling India for not conducting free and fair elections, it has also put out reports. I don't agree with that. How do you respond to those critics?
I think a few people are saying this here and there. I think by and large the West sees this election. People recognize and respect the scale of this election. So I think you need to be balanced in the way in which you are projecting what is the current situation.
Still to come here on DD India News Hour. Vietnam's parliament elects police minister To Lam as the state president. UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak abandons plans to restrict graduate visas. Russian forces begin the first stage of nuclear exercises in areas bordering Ukraine.
Voice of a rising aspirational world. Stories of challenges, struggles and accomplishment. A world battling conflict, hunger and poverty. Embracing growth, development, science and technology. A voice of progress, a voice of unity. Watch Voice of the Global South with me, Akshay Dongre, only on DD India.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Mark Lynn. Following recent incidents of violence against foreign students in Bishkek in Kyrgyzstan, the Indian Embassy has issued a press release. The embassy said that it has been working actively with the universities and senior government functionaries to address the concerns of the Indian students. The embassy also said that the students can continue to reach out to the embassy for all kinds of assistance through two helpline numbers, 0555 710041 and 0555 005538. Air connectivity between Bishkek and New Delhi remains operational, and flights to India can also be availed via Almaty, Dubai, Istanbul, Sharjah and Tashkent. As the academic year is coming to a close prior to travelling back to India, including for summer vacations, all Indian students must contact their respective universities about the formalities required for the completion of their exams. A member of the Parliament of Bangladesh's ruling Awami League, Anwarul Azim Annar, has been killed at a flat near Kolkata on Wednesday. This is what Bangladesh's Home Minister said on Wednesday. Speaking at a press briefing in Dhaka, the Bangladesh Home Minister Asadur Usman Khan has said that as per information, people in his country are involved with this killing. And he said that Bangladesh police arrested 3 people in connection with the killing of Anwarul Azim, who had visited India for medical treatment on May 11. Well, we are going across live to the United Kingdom, where Rishi Sunak, the Prime Minister, is speaking about elections that have been called.
The opportunities of Brexit to make this the best country in the world to grow a business, put record amounts of funding into our NHS and ensured it is now training the doctors and nurses it needs in the decades to come. We've reformed education and our children are now the best readers in the Western world. We prioritised energy security and your family finances over environmental dogma in our approach to net zero. We fully funded an increase in defence spending to 2.5% of GDP. We made a decision to invest more in local transport that you actually use, rather than endlessly plough more money into HS2. We set out a comprehensive plan to reform our welfare system, to make it fair for those who pay for it as well as those who need it. Immigration is finally coming down, and we are stopping the boats with our Rwanda partnership. And we will ensure that the next generation grows up smoke-free. I hope that my work since I became Prime Minister shows that we have a plan and are prepared to take bold action necessary for our country to flourish. Now, I've stuck.
Well, Rishi Sunak has announced elections. He's called them for July the 4th. So 1 month, a little and a few days from now. Moving on, Vietnam's parliament elected Police Minister Tu Lam as the state president on Wednesday. Lam's election followed the appointment on Monday by Vietnam's National Assembly of its new chairman. Lam spent more than 4 decades in the Ministry of Public Security before becoming police minister in 2016. As head of the ministry, Lam was a crucial figure in sweeping anti-graft campaign known as Blazing Furnace, and he played an essential role in rooting out widespread corruption. The UK Prime Minister, whom we heard speaking a little while earlier, Rishi Sunak, has abandoned plans to restrict graduate visas. The change in plan came after strong opposition from key cabinet members raising concerns about the financial stability. The initial proposal is aimed to limit the number of graduate visas, which allows international students to work in the UK after studies. However, the British government is now considering more modest reforms to stop the immigration system from being misused. The US President Joe Biden has announced the cancellation of another $7.7 billion in student debt for 160,000 borrowers, bringing that total number of people to benefit from his debt relief push to 4.75 million, despite Republican opposition. Joe Biden is keen to shore up waning support among young people ahead of the presidential election, and he pledged to find other avenues for tackling debt relief after the Supreme Court in June blocked his broader plan to cancel $430 billion in student loan debt. Wednesday's announcement brings the total debt relief approved by the Biden administration to $167 billion. Russian forces have begun the first stage of nuclear exercises involving practical training in the preparation and use of non-strategic nuclear weapons in areas bordering Ukraine. Russian President Vladimir Putin ordered the exercises earlier this month. The drills involve missile forces in Russia's southern military district, which lies adjacent to Ukraine and also includes parts of Ukraine that Russia now controls. Russia's defense ministry said that the exercise is aimed at ensuring that units are ready for the combat use of non-strategic nuclear weapons to ensure the territorial integrity and sovereignty of the Russian state. Spain on Wednesday became the 99th member of the International Solar Alliance. Spain handed over the International Solar Alliance instrument of ratification during the meeting of Ambassador Jose Maria Redao Domínguez of Spain with the head of the depository, Abhishek Singh, in New Delhi today. Food Safety and Standards Authority of India that collected samples of spices in powder from all brands across the country has not found traces of ethylene oxide in samples of spices of MDH and Everest brands. The food regulator's actions came after Hong Kong and Singapore banned certain spice mix products of MDH and Everest, citing the presence of ethylene oxide beyond the permissible limit. The two-day international dialogue of mountains, people and climate change is underway in Kathmandu. It focuses on the negative effects of climate change in mountainous regions. Experts from 25 countries, including representatives from mountainous and small island nations, international organizations, NGOs, and also the private sector are participating in the event. Prime Minister Pushpakamal Dehal Prachanda inaugurated the event by watering a plant. In his address, he emphasized the urgency of limiting global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius and called for justice for those affected by climate-induced disasters. The vibrant Buddha-Rasmi Vesak festival is set to commence tomorrow, promising 4 days of extensive celebrations across Colombo and other parts of the island. The festival marks the birth, enlightenment and passing of the Buddha, and it will feature a giant Vesak Pandal, Vesak lanterns, exhibition, Vesak Dansala, flower parades, meditation programs, as well as cultural performances showcasing Sri Lanka's rich heritage. Adding to the international dimension, the High Commission of India has organized an exhibition featuring a digital room by the National Gallery of Modern Art, showcasing Buddhist art by eminent Indian painters, including Nandalal Bose. Yesterday, in fact, Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardene inaugurated an exhibition on Indian Buddhist heritage in Kandy, emphasizing the deep cultural and spiritual ties between Sri Lanka and India. Buddha Purnima, the most significant religious festival for Buddhists, was celebrated across Bangladesh on Wednesday with great reverence. The day commemorates the birth, enlightenment and Mahaparinirvana of Gautam Buddha. In Dhaka, the Bangladeshi Buddhist Federation hosted a prayer sabha and a seminar at the International Buddhist Monastery, drawing large number of devotees who offered prayers. They lit lamps and presented fruits, flowers and candles to the statue of Lord Buddha. President Mohammed Shahabuddin and Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina extended greetings to the Buddhist community in the nation. You're watching DD India News Hour. Let's get you the sports news now. And the Chelsea manager Mauricio Pochettino has left his job by mutual consent after one season, as announced by the Premier League club on Tuesday. Pochettino joined Chelsea before the 2023-2024 season, taking over from the interim manager Frank Lampard.
My target is to win. My aim is to win. If you are in a football club like Chelsea, you cannot talk about to do a nice job and to play well. It's of course do a good job, play well, because this is our style and philosophy and culture. But of course to win. If you don't win in a club like Chelsea, for sure you are going to struggle.
Well, that's all we have in this edition of DD India News Hour, but let's know your thoughts on the news of the day. And for those of you on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and the world on the DD India mobile app. The app is available both on Android and iOS platforms. You can scan the QR code on the screen and download it. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Mark Lynn, and from all of us here in Delhi, thank you very much for watching DD India News Hour. Namaskar.